Hi, today we are going to do our chapter 11, which is Cognitive Behavior Therapy. Very important theory which is quite in detail described in your notes also, and that is the reason why I am going to separately do in two parts. The part 1 will be the REBT, which is the main theory and used very extensively in today's psychological treatment world, as well as the other part, which is the extension of REBT, will also be discussed in the part 2. So cognitive behavior therapy was proposed by Albert Ellis. Ellis worked with Freud and then separated to propagate his own theory. His theory combined humanistic, philosophical and behavioral concepts. It was known to be rational emotive theory, which was later changed to and come to be known as rational emotive behavioral therapy, or REBT as it is known today. Alice learnt many of the concepts, including that of his early life experiences that the infant goes through, in his theory from Freud, which is accepted by him, but in so many other ways, in so many later concepts, he has deviated from Freud and explained in his theory REBT as a separate concept developed by him. His theory is characterized by being highly rational, persuasive, directive, interpretive and philosophical. This approach is based on the assumption that cognition, emotion and behaviors interact significantly to respond to the stimulus. So when we have a stimulus, when we experience a stimulus, it is not that we are only reacting with our emotions or with our cognitions. It is all the three aspects of our personality work together: cognition, emotions and behaviors. The basic assumption of this theory is that people contribute to their own psychological problems, develop their own specific symptoms by the very way they interpret events and situations in their life. That means every individual will interpret the same situation according to his or her emotive, rational and cognitive contribution to the behaviors. So, no two people would react to the same situation or same stimulus in the same manner. They will be always different from each other. This will be the outcome of the combined integrative reserves from his conscious and unconscious mind. So the conscious and the unconscious mind of each individual will react to the stimulus in a different way. REBT's basic hypothesis is that our emotions stem mainly from our beliefs, evaluations, interpretations and relations to life situations. So it is a combined effect which is giving rise to the behavior or our response to the stimulus, which is a combined effect of all these three aspects. Through the therapeutic process, clients learn to identify and dispute the threat, irrational and the beliefs, how to replace them rational cognitions and change their emotional reactions to situations. Counselor takes on the role of a teacher often, and the client learns new ways of reacting, which it learns in the therapy. The therapist may also sometimes give assignments to produce the new skills, the new way of behaving, the new way of responding to the stimuli. The key concepts we will now consider in Alice's theory. Alice believed that humans are self-talking, self-evaluating, self-sustaining beings. You can refer to your page 60 of your notes about the view of human nature. It will help you to understand what we are discussing here. Consider the next para about emotional disturbances. Alice proposed that human beings create problems. They themselves create problems by instilling self-defeating beliefs through autosuggestions and self-repetitions. This sort of gets fixated in their beliefs, attitudes and behaviors, and finally become the cause of their problems. So their own beliefs at which they are fixated gets so fixated that it affects their behavior, and that becomes an integral part of their personality. The core of most of educational disturbances, and this is where the disturbances are coming from. Thus, he says we must learn to accept ourselves despite our imperfections. So, many of us are fixated at achieving perfections, which is not really necessary. After all, who is perfect? And we must accept that we all have some aspects of our life which may not be perfect, but that does not mean that we are useless. We can also work and we can also grow, and we can maybe learn to be achieving our goals. In other words, we need to change the language in which we speak to ourselves. For example, instead of I must have, this one can use I prefer to have this. Instead of I must have this, we can say I prefer to have this. And that will make a lot of difference in your communication style as well as the way you react, respond and convey your thoughts. Some common self-defeating irrational ideas are listed on page 7 of your notes. You can find some more through your own experiences. Many of them may be individualistic because every individual has got their own restrictions, their own fixated thoughts which they try to propagate or try to use in their common day-to-day behavior. Alice says that just expressing emotionally disturbing feelings is not going to help to get over them. So if a person knows that I am scared of this, as we were looking at the expression of our feelings, Alice says just expressing them is not going to help. We are not going to get out of those feelings just by expressing it. For example, if a person knows that I am afraid of lizards, just admitting it or talking about it is not going to get him out of that fear of lizards. So it is not only that expressing is going to help. Only when these irrational beliefs are disputed, the understanding and empirical approach to thinking towards thinking and behaving is accepted by the client, then the more appropriate feelings are accepted. So the client has to be made to understand, and maybe, as you will now learn, through the process of desensitization, the client would be able to come out of his fear of lizards. So talking about it is different from actually working through the fear and getting out of it, of that from our system. Please refer to the page 8 for diagrammatic representations of Ellis's ABC theory. Read the explanation carefully given below, which of course I am sure is not going to be very difficult for you to understand, because you reached that stage in your course where you have a lot of background about how the mind and the unconscious works. In the assignment sheets, following the notes, we are always sending you the assignments. I have given certain cases for you to solve applying the ABC theory. Get involved and you will find it very satisfactory, as well as it will improve your confidence when you can successfully work out the problems, because they are taken from the real life situations. So you will be able to understand how the theory that you are learning can be applied to overcome those problems. Then you will be ready to apply it for your clients in therapy. Here I would like to add that counselors must keep up with happenings in their surroundings. The social happenings, economic, political, environmental, cultural, and every other aspect of living. This would help them to relate much easily to their client's world. General steps for therapeutic process are as follows. The first step, as always, is building rapport. So build rapport, listen and find out what are the shoulds, oughts and musts in the client's thinking. The second step is bring the awareness to the client about their self-defeating thoughts. Like, say, some people have the belief that I can't do this, I am not so good looking, or I always fail in the interviews, etc., etc. So these are the thoughts that are self-defeating, and these are the beliefs that keep them from growing and developing and success. How they impose these on themselves and others around them. So not only themselves but also the people around them in their life are also affected by their beliefs. How they impose these on themselves and others around them. This way, this may be causing them much distress, pain, and prevent from growth. How the exaggerated self-demands can become stones or thorns in the path of their success. So these are the hurdles that they need to overcome. These are the self-defeating ideas and thoughts which keep most people away from trying and also succeeding in their life. Maintaining good relationships disturb the peace and take away happiness from their life. So the number 3 in the process is the chapter C, counseling to modify their thinking and abandon their irrational ideas. So the counselor helps the counselee to carry out their newfound thoughts in their life. It's not only, as we have seen very much earlier, that it is not only important to know what is keeping me behind, what is coming in my way of success. It is also important to overcome those hurdles, overcome those restrictions and achieve things. So counselor is supposed to be the medium by which the counselee can gain that extra strength to go forward in his life. And not only in the therapy situation, but also in the life outside the therapy, and apply it in actual situation where the core of the irrational thinking in disputed and change occurs. So you need to dispute your irrational thinking. As you will see in the ABCD theory, the D stands for disputes. It is the base of the thought process. The client gets encouraged to face situations on their own. It is a new person, now facing the world. Please refer to page 11 and 12 of your notes for directions for what REBT counselor does. REBT is widely used therapy today. It has shown that many of the self-generating problems can be dealt with by counselor and counselee collaborating in working out a solution to the problem by changing the cognitive behavior pattern. It is a multimodal theory, integrating techniques from various sources. Very commonly, counselee plays a role of a teacher. The counselor plays a role of the teacher and helps and supports the counselee. Practice of REBT is quite widespread, and its application extends to individual therapy, group therapy, brief therapy, marital or couple therapy, family therapy. The techniques are extracted from various sources. So we have cognitive approaches in treating the clients, that is disputing irrational beliefs, as asking clients to validate their beliefs and thinking. Say for example, if the client believes that everybody is very restricted in their growth and behavior pattern because of they are under the influence of this kind of political party, for example. So validate that. How is it affecting your life and your progress just being in power? That political party, how is it affecting you individually? Or there are so many other kinds of, like, people blame educational system. People also have restrictions coming from their families, from their class or community oriented restrictions, and so many other ways that they feel restricted, and they never have thought about questioning these things. Now in the process of counseling, we teach them how to question these things. And why are you believing it and submitting to it? And what are the implications of believing in it? You see how it is restricting your growth. Then the counselor also gives some kind of homework. For example, list the negative thoughts that are discouraging the client. Take steps to face these feared situations badly and boldly. Try and desensitize from these feared situations. List self-defeating and blaming thoughts and challenge and try and get over them. Here the counselee can make a list. Also he or she can try and find out what are the self-defeating beliefs that they are living with, and the self-defeating ideas and thoughts that are restricting them, and they will be able to then discuss it, take the help of counselor to overcome it. Change the language, improve your vocabulary. Change I must to and or say you must try. You don't say I ought to have this. Use the word I prefer to have this. That will make life much comfortable for you, because you are not under that kind of pressure then to say that I must have this. If I don't have this, I don't think life is worth living. That is a wrong way of looking at things. You may want something, you may want it quite badly, but still, it is not that you should make it the center of your life and give up everything else for that. So you need to change your language accordingly. We will see that so many people are not able to express their true feelings. Like, suppose if they have to also express their disgust. They keep on using the word shit. But what is a shit? Why are you calling it shit? You have some kind of other expression for it. Like, it is disgusting. It is something which it is obnoxious. I don't like it. Some expressions like that, which would be making it more not only cultured way of expressing your feelings, but also it will be more educative also for you, and it will be more comfortable to discuss things, to discuss and to communicate with people of other opinions. So humor is another factor which can be very useful to learn to laugh with others, not at others. Involve yourself as someone who is not afraid to make mistakes and get ahead. So humor can be very useful in also become a directive for growth, as well as it makes things much milder in its effect. Emotive techniques includes role playing, modeling, imagery, shame attacking exercises. Therapists help the counselee to giving them necessary support and encouraging them to be trying out their newly adapted thoughts, making them reality. Please refer to your pages 17 and 18 of the notes. That would give you more detailed explanation about all these techniques that you can very easily use, and they are not at all difficult to employ also. Then there are behavioral techniques, behavior therapy, procedures like awareness about operant conditioning, which we have seen in our earlier chapters. You can use operant conditioning, and we can always try to change our ways of looking at the actions and reactions. As we know, whatever is learnt can also be unlearned. We know that. So, whatever bad habits have been cultivated can also be removed, and good habits can be instilled into the personality. Okay. Besides this, there are self-management things, then systematic desensitization, then skill training. If you need to learn something like, say, how to operate computers, you can be also encouraged to do that, and your clients will be then having a new way of expressing themselves. Relaxation techniques, modeling also works well to bring about the changing the client's behavior. REBT is one of the most useful tools for counselor to help counselee change their faulty patterns of thinking and behaving. Practice the therapy and related techniques with maybe your friends, your family members, just for your own practice, and I'm sure you will be satisfied and happy with the outcome that you will notice. So bye for now, and keep reading, keep growing, and keep safe. Bye.